My creator and your creator, the creator of the heavens and the earth, the one who created everything and keeps everything under his control. The message comes from his final revelation, his final communication to human beings in the Quran. In this book, in the 57th chapter, in the 20th verse, and it's just one verse. I'm just sharing one verse with you guys. And this verse is so significant because this verse encapsulates our lives. It speaks about our lives. God says something very powerful. You know what he says? He says, bear in mind that the life of this world is just a game. It's a deception. It's an attraction. It's empty competition. It's competing to see who has more wealth. It's competing to see who has more children. It's competing to see who has more possessions. And this is the reality. People, this is the reality. We wake up every morning. We wake up and we go back to the rat race. We go back to the 9 to 5. We go back to our works to do what? To make more money. To make more money. To buy more things. And God is telling us this. And then, and listen to this, and then he gives us a powerful analogy. This is one of the most beautiful analogies. Really pay attention. Listen to what he says. He says the parable of this life is like the plants which sprout, which grow when rain falls on them, and the plants that flourish. Imagine, just before summer, you buy some seeds, you plant the seeds in the ground, and as the rain falls and summer comes, the sun shines, these seeds sprout, the plants come out of the ground, and the plants flourish and they open up, and you see the petals in all of their varying colors, and they're beautiful. God says they're pleasing to the sower, the one that sows these seeds. And then what happens? But slowly, as time passes, the plant withers. God says it shrinks, it shrivels, it dries, it becomes yellow, and the wind comes and dissipates the plant, and it disappears as if it never existed. Brothers and sisters and friends, this is the reality of life. This analogy applies to our life, not only with what's within our lives, but of our lives. Let me give you an example. Think about this. You want to buy something. Say you want to buy a Lamborghini, yeah? The American dream. You want to buy a big car, a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. You work hard to buy this car. You finally end up with the money you need to buy this car. You buy the car. The first day or 2 days, it's pleasing, it's amazing. You're surprised, you can't get enough of it. You keep looking at it. You're so chuffed. You have that dream car. But a couple of weeks later, a couple of days later maybe, a couple of months later, it's just a car. It's just a piece of metal. And then you want another car, maybe the Bugatti. You want another car. Maybe a car made of gold next. We keep wanting things, and this is the reality. That desire you had for that car shrivels. It dissipates. It disappears. And that applies to our life too. Think about our lives. We're born, we grow, we become strong. We start working, we become 20, 25, 30. We're in the prime of our lives. We reach the prime of our lives, and we think we're invincible. We think we're invincible. We think, and ignore the distractions. This is important. This is your creator. We've become complacent, and then slowly our lives get to the age of 40, 50, 60, and they dissipate. They dissipate. We become wrinkled. We become old. We get diseases. We get diabetes, blood pressure. We suffer from Alzheimer's. We end up in old age homes. We end up in hospitals. This is our reality. We're all gonna die, and there's gonna be a means to our death. Something's gonna happen to us which leads to our death. Either blood pressure, either diabetes, or either some other disease, maybe a heart attack. Maybe a heart attack, but we're all gonna die. Our lives shrivel too. And back to that analogy that God is telling you, reflect over your lives. They start off like this plant, this seed, which grows and it flourishes, and then over time it dissipates. Over time it disappears. Over time the wind blows it away and it becomes nothing. And then God reminds us of a real reality that's coming. The reality of the hereafter. God says, there is a terrible punishment coming. There is a terrible punishment coming for those who reject the Creator, for those who turn away from the Creator, for those who make this life, make their desires their God. Make their desires their God. I don't want to worship God. I'm a free person. I want to go drink. I want to go fornicate. I want to do all of these things. I want to fulfill my desires. God's telling you there is a punishment for these people, but at the same time, God says there is a forgiveness and acceptance from God. There's an acceptance from God for those who turn to God, for those who wake up, for those who realize what their purpose is, who wake up to their true purpose, who realize that there was a point I never existed. There was a point I never existed. 20, 30, 40 years ago, maybe 50 years ago, none of us existed. There was a point. There was a point, and this is, I'll address you, madam. There was a point where we were a drop of fluid. We were a drop of fluid, every single one of us. We had no control over that drop of fluid developing into you and you and you. We had no control over our development. We had no control. God created us, He sustained us, He grew us. So God is telling us, those who turn back to Him and worship Him and realize reality, realize that this life is a distraction, realize this life is temporary, realize that we're going to go back to Him. For them, there's eternal paradise, there's peace, there's tranquility. And God finishes this verse. And this is just one verse. This is just one verse. God finishes by reminding us again. He says, remember, the world of this life is just an illusory pleasure. It's a distraction. There's nothing real about it. And your lives are a testament to this. Your lives are a testament. Think about it. Think about your own lives, every single one of you. Throughout life, we want things, we want material things. As children, we cry for toys. As children, we cry for toys and sweets. When we get older, we want to get married and have friends. And when we get older, we want houses, we want cars. We want to feel settled, we want to feel established. We want that high-paying job. But when we get these things, it's empty. A few weeks or months later, we want something else. And then we want something else. And this is the reality of all of our lives. This is the reality of all of our lives. We're never satisfied. Why? Because God tells us in this book, and I end on this, He tells us why He created us. He created us to worship Him. He created us to turn back to Him.